Sorry, my audio is not on.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Math Night Professional Learning. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'd like to invite you to our Math Night Professional Learning Kickoff. My name is Dr. Andrea Knapp. I am the Executive Director of the Math for Adults Foundation and am excited to be presenting this morning. I'd like to learn a little about you. So if everybody would be willing to please put your name and your school district into the chat box so we can get a sense of who is here. That would be great. Um, and then we'll continue to move on. So while you're introducing yourselves to each other in the chat box, just a little about me. I have taught all levels of school from elementary, taught math, elementary, middle, high school, and pre-service teachers, in-service teachers, and math courses at collegiate level. But I am currently directing the Math for Adults Foundation, where we help families learn how to help their children with math. Now, I got involved with presenting math nights um, at the University of Georgia back in 2008, and we started offering math nights through the university in the Griffin Spalding area. And since then, we've branched out to many school districts, some outside of Wisconsin or outside of Georgia, some in Wisconsin. Um, a number of counties, and we are continuing to expand. So I'm happy that you are part of that today. But since then, in 2016, we be switched from a university program to a nonprofit. So the Math for Adults Foundation is able to expand what we offer and working with school districts in additional ways as a nonprofit. So let's jump in and just learn a little more together about what a math night looks like. Why do we hold a math night? What is some of the theory behind it? And how you could take this to your school. One of the benefits of being nonprofit is that we can share our materials widely and freely. So as we're working today, feel free to peruse the website mapsfoundation.com, and we'll be visiting it as well. So you can see many of the resources that we have available to you. Okay, so first of all, just in thinking about what is the purpose of a math night, I would say you're establishing a learning community within families is your number one purpose. So your math night is a kickoff, it's a jump start for the family's math learning community. Now, secondarily, you are working at establishing a positive math culture within your school where you have parents that are behind the scenes and really bringing to bear the funds of knowledge. You might have heard of that theory before, where they have some knowledge of math, they have some knowledge of where it is used in their everyday life, and you want to tap into that, take advantage of it, because that will give your students prior learning of math topics. Say it's percentages, say it's measurement, and so that then when they come to your classroom, they've got something in their brain already that you can hook onto. So here you can see a math night that was held in a school library. We invite all of the parents in the school, all of the teachers, all of the families. So if a family has a high schooler, great, bring them. If they've got pre-K kids, great, bring them. Bring the whole family. Even though the math nights are targeted for K-8 families, the whole family is invited. Okay, likewise, um, all of all of the teachers are invited, and we encourage parapros to be involved as well. Certainly administrators. You want it to be a family affair, both in the school and within the families. Okay, now as you can see in this photo, there are manipulatives that we often share with the families, usually in a particular math night. We introduce one manipulative. Over the course of an 8-week mini course, they'll get exposure to several manipulatives. And often this is something that parents might not have seen, but you want to give them an idea of what they might see in the classroom and then resources so they can do that at home, whether it's a take-home manipulative as a door prize or virtual manipulatives or things that they can print out. And you'll see on our website, we have many of those manipulatives available for printing and cutting out that parents can use. Or if you're doing your math night on the cheap and you don't have that manipulative, you can print it on cardstock, hand out scissors to everybody, and they can use the manipulatives that way. All right. So again, some of the reasons for why we hold math nights. The evidence is consistent, positive, and convincing that families have a major influence on their children's achievement. When schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. So, what's not to love? Why aren't we doing this often and in depth? So, the answer to that question is that it is a lot of work. Parent involvement is a hard nut to crack. Some schools have good parent involvement, but by and large, schools have a great deal of difficulty getting families to come out for a math night that they might have math anxiety for. So, in the second part of today's presentation, we'll be talking about some of the logistics on how do you get parents to actually come and be excited and happy that they came. All right, here is another reason why we do a math night. This is data from the TIMSS study, the most recent TIMSS study, showing you where the United States falls in terms of scores internationally. And you can see that the US is about the middle of the pack in all of these countries, falling behind Hungary, um, Austria, Czech Republic, and of course, Singapore, Japan. We don't like being the middle of the pack. We would prefer to be closer to the top. And there are many reasons for this, of course. But there's just a general sense that math is a very important uh, area to address and improve on. Okay, next, I'd like to talk about how does a Math for Adults Foundation math night perhaps differ from a math night that you might put on at your school? So many schools are doing them. So what have we built in to the MAPS math nights? MAPS stands for Math for Adults Partnering for Success. And what do we have to offer, and what can you build into your own math nights if you are just coming today, learning and doing your own, which is perfectly fine. All right, so we approach math nights from three lenses, from the area of research, different areas of research that contribute to student achievement. And it's known from research contributions to student achievement. So first of all, there's the well-known work by Deborah Ball and her colleagues on mathematical knowledge for teaching, that there's a special type of knowledge that when teachers have this, it contributes to student achievement. And this is not content knowledge like learning more calculus. This is knowledge about how to teach second grade fractions well. And so we worked at building mathematical knowledge for teaching within our participants, whether they were teachers or whether they are parents. And that also related to the research that we did. Is there a similar construct for parents compared to the MKT for teachers? Okay, also we looked at parent involvement literature and what types of parent involvement really do impact student achievement. And so we are not talking about parent involvement where parents are bringing in cupcakes and stapling papers. We want parents as intellectual resources. And you can read more about this if you look at our research pieces on the research area of our website. And then from a social science standpoint, we find that family structure has a great deal to do, maybe more than the other things, on how well students will achieve. And so from this standpoint, we provide resources to parents, whether online or through giveaways, to help strengthen and encourage the families that are participating. Okay. Another thing that we really work at in the math nights is strengthening and building relationships among the parents, the teachers, and the children. So, of course, you have your facilitator in the middle who is leading everything, but teachers are not teaching in the math night. Teachers are participants, they are co learners along with the parents. For this reason, the math nights are professional learning sessions for your teachers, and they are learning to interact with the parents as equals, which really changes the dynamic between and among parents and where I think somebody has uh, their audio on. If you could maybe mute that, that would be helpful. But often we see that parents will have um, um, a, a fear almost of the teachers, or teachers might have a deficit view of parents, like you might see in a conference, a parent teacher conference where the teacher is the holder of the information and sharing that with parents. Here, everyone is working together for the betterment of the children. Teachers are learning to appreciate what parents bring to the table, and parents are seeing, wow, like the teachers are working hard. They're here for an extra night. They're doing so much for my kids. They care about my kids, and they're having fun together, laughing, a joke time that you do at the dinner time, and working together. So look at some of the dynamics that are going on here. You have teachers working and talking, interacting with parents, parents working with their children. And sometimes parents don't know how to talk with their children about math, and it's more of a go to your room, do your homework, then come out and we'll have dinner. But no, we are teaching them to interact with their children in positive ways about mathematics and work together. Of course, you have teachers interacting with children, you have parents working with other parents, teachers with other teachers, parents with kids that aren't their own kids that they're sitting next to. So all of these dynamics are going on to really spark that learning community in positive, happy ways around math. So we're building a positive math culture. We are fighting against math anxiety and uh, having a great time at the same time. Okay, and at any time, if you have questions for me, please unmute yourself or mention in the chat box uh, questions that you might have. So I'm just going to visit the chat box right now and see who all is here. Okay, so we have Henry County represented, Coweta, Monroe, Newton, Bibb, Lamar. All right, excellent. So just really pleased to see everyone that is here today and working on your math nights. So I'm going to pause right now and just ask several of you to unmute yourselves. Have you offered math nights already in your district? And how might that be similar to or different from what I am describing in the math nights that we are offering here? So I'll open the floor up to a little bit of discussion at this point.
I've done a math night before. I was in Florida and my first grade team was really big into parental involvement, and we were trying to do some research on how parental involvement affects student learning. And so we would have a reading night, but we also had a math night, and we had stations with the manipulatives, like you talked about, and
Hmm.
had them explore them and then have things to take home. We found it to be very positive. That the parents were very grateful. They could ask questions without feeling intimidated. But of course, it was for first grade, so it wasn't too overwhelming for parents. I teach fourth grade now, and I know a lot of my parents get kind of flustered with fractions and the way we're doing multiplication and division now. So I'm just want to refresh and try to get back to this for the good of all.
Great. I love that. The stations idea is a good one. And yeah, parents do bring their questions. Sometimes they're a little sheepish about their questions. And even if, the content of the night might be about fractions, but a parent will come up to the side and say, I'm really not understanding long division. Can you give me a refresher? And so your teachers should just be aware of that and ready to answer questions. And it's really an opportunity for them to build relationships with the teachers around the content that might be taking place in the classroom right then. Now, a question that I often get is, well, how do you focus this on first grade if you teach first grade? And what about the topic that they're teaching in first grade right now? And I would say you need a broader view of the parent involvement in your school. You have in your math night, say you're in a cafeteria or the school library, you can envision that right now, your own setting. And if you're opening it up to all of these children, all of these parents, you might have a first grader in the room, you might have a middle school student, you may have a high schooler. If you look at the parents that are there, you may have a parent who hasn't even finished high school. On the other hand, you may have a parent who is working in industry and they're a scientist and they know way more math than you do. Um, so it's uh, just quite the gamut of who will show up. So whoever you are choosing for your facilitator, if they're working with us and we're training them, we will be encouraging that facilitator that as you're teaching, you want to be pointing out various standards throughout your tasks, which will have multiple entry points, multiple concepts and standards if you're using ours with the Math for Parents curriculum. And the facilitator needs to be pointing out those different standards at various levels um, throughout the math night. Okay. Secondly, you cannot teach to every concept of every grade at the particular math night. You go with one in-depth math night where you've got several tasks that you're doing in depth. It's cohesive, and you are, again, your goal is to spark the learning community and the conversation between parents, teachers, and children, so that when children are bringing home their homework, they're able to talk with their parents in better ways because they've been at the math night. Now, not to say you can't strategically choose what your content will be for that math night, but don't put the pressure on yourself that you're going to be the end all be all for every single grade level in one night. Okay, does that make sense, or what are your thoughts on that? And I'll open it up again to other experiences that you've had with math nights in your districts.
In Lamar, we call it curriculum night, or maybe just a parent night, and both ELA and math set up by grade level and
Okay.
like rooms across the hall from each other. And it'll be a quick concept, like we did fractions, because so many kids do struggle with it, and parents
Mhm.
really don't know how to help them in an organized way to do a fraction problem. And so it works out, they like that, but it needs to be fast because you don't want people waiting in line just to sit down and do a math problem. We don't give anything to take home. It's just they like, um, with expo markers writing on the desks. They like doing things like that. And so they want to sit down and work, and the parents are pleased to sit, stand behind them and watch them. Then they move on, it's got to be fast, like less than 5 minutes. And they move on to the ELA classroom or vice versa, since they're across the hall. And
Okay.
then they may have something else going on. It might be art night. So we've done something else to bring them in to the building. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I think we get more of a turnout in elementary. I used to teach middle school, and the turnout was very slim. Um, Parents didn't really want to come. The kids didn't want to come. They had activities going on outside the school, and it just drops off in middle school.
Yes.
We do that twice a year.
Okay. Excellent. Just a couple of comments on some of the things that you're saying. Um, Having the math night at the same time as another event is excellent. That is a great way to draw families. So you said you did it on art night. Um, Having it at the same night as there might be a dance presentation to kick
Mhm.
things off, or a music event, just something or having it right after a basketball game. Um, Something that is drawing parents there anyway. You also want to take advantage of your after school program, because often parents will be coming to pick up their kids from the after school program, and it can be a pitch that, hey, you don't have to cook tonight. There's dinner. Come have fun at math night. So that's another way of getting people there. Okay, secondly, when we are choosing our facilitators, we really work to find someone who has had some advanced preparation in mathematics education, and ideally even some professional learning experience, because you want someone who's dynamic and can connect with the parents, and make it a fun event. So I've heard families say, "Oh, it's a family date night." They're doing hands-on things, they're laughing, having a good time. On the other hand, I've seen math nights where, you have an inexperienced teacher basically giving a dry lecture on what they're doing in math that particular week or month. And we really want to avoid just lecturing the students and the parents. We want them having um, a positive experience with the math, even if they don't understand everything about their doing. They're connecting with their student and their child around math, and that point of connection between parent and child is worth its weight in gold. So you want a facilitator who can spark that. And so when we are hiring our facilitators to send out to the various districts, or maybe we're providing a stipend for somebody actually in your district and we're training them, we do want somebody with, whether they have their endorsement in math education or a MED, something where they have that preparation that will really help to make a difference in that mathematical knowledge for teaching. Okay, other comments, other districts that would like to um, share about your experiences.
I'm not in a district. I just wanted to say that another thing we could say to engage families and make them want to come and have fun is a tactic where we say, like, this is for you. We did this for you. I just wanted to comment that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, other thoughts?
morning. Here in Bill, we try to use the term partnership um, because it is a partnership between the parents and the students and the staff. And we utilize the platform when we do our math nights. We engage the parents by allowing them to utilize the tools that the students would use. So when we invite our parents out to math night. Of course, we do title it math night, but we allow them to engage on the devices that the students would use so that they are actually being hands-on and getting the experience that the students actually get. So the parents get excited because they are actually competing against one another, and we try to incorporate it on a night where we are having a PTA meeting or a student dance night or some type of activity that is already being held at the school. Um, or we also try to bring in outside vendors and have them set up some type of activity to engage the parents as well during that time. But we try to incorporate these events at least 3 times during our school year.
Excellent. And what district did you say
Bill.
that was? Bibb County. Excellent. All right. Thank you for all of those comments. Anyone else? Okay. Now, you did just mention that you hold 3 math nights throughout the school year. I will mention that the research that we did and the improvements that you'll see a little later on a slide coming up was based on 8-week mini courses. The Math for Parents curriculum was developed with National Science Foundation funding out of the University of Arizona. And so they developed the 8-week mini courses. Furthermore, they have they develop standalone workshops that can be used as well. And we have all of those materials available for free on our website. They gave us permission, share it freely. So the 8-week mini course idea, we used to do 8 weeks in a row, but it was so hard for parents to get there all 8 sessions, and it would be sort of frustrating to me. You go to all of this work to have math nights, and then they don't show up until I was attending with my kids, and we didn't come to all 8, so life happens. But what we have settled on is aiming for 1 math night per month. So you still get the 8, but it's spread out over the school year. And you can skip, you can skip December is usually a month that's not good. The November one we offer a little earlier before the holidays, and maybe even skipping May. But the 1 math night per month has turned out to be a really a pretty good model, and it's the one that I recommend. Not to say you can't just do a standalone math night. I mean, for some families, all it takes is 1 math night to kick off their learning community, and they're off and running. For other families, having multiple math nights is very helpful because they are so needy in terms of just seeing modeled how to work with kids around math and not just telling them what to do. I remember this military style father trying to work with his kids and demanding and it must be this way and making it stressful and hard, and it took some time for that to calm down, and we had college students interspersed that were helping just keep things light and happy and fun. And so the multiple math nights can really help with building those learning communities in the homes as well. Okay, well, let's move on, but don't hesitate to stop me if you have comments or questions. Okay. All right, thanks, Ms. Hendricks, for that comment. Okay, so at this point, we'll do a sample activity from our Thinking in Patterns. It's session 1 with Blackline Master number 3. I'll describe the activity to get you going on it, and then I'll actually open the page from the curriculum so that you can see what it looks like and other activities that are happening in that particular 2-hour math night. So Urban Legend says you cannot fold a piece of paper more than 7 times. What do you all think? Put it in the chat box or unmute yourself. Can you fold a paper more than 7 times? What's your prediction?
It's practically impossible, but we can do that if at all the size of the paper is so big so that the folds are possible. It
Okay,
was
so
a experiment that was happening and they did it officially.
yes, they actually did it. The Mythbusters, if you're familiar with that show,
Yes,
they
exactly.
actually they tried it with a football size sheet of paper and
Yeah.
actually had some sort of a loader that they used to fold it and fold it. Okay, I see Royce believes that you cannot. So let's go ahead and try this activity. I need you to pull out a sheet of paper. It can be scrap paper, um, can just be a regular paper. It doesn't have to be cardstock or anything. What I need you to do is please fold your paper in half and then unfold it and count how many sections there are. Then fold it in half. So repeat the first fold, fold it in half again, open it up, and see how many sections there are. So I would like you to please put your data into the chat box as you're doing this. So the first number that you put in will be how many folds, and the second number that you'll put in the chat box is how many sections. So for example, if you're looking at your sheet of paper right now, it has no folds in it. So there would be just one section. So take it from here, fold it, tell me how many sections there are, put that in the chat box. Or if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can do that. Send the link to the person. I texted you somebody who was the link. Yeah, just stay close to your text messages. Okay, bye. Okay, so thank you, Amy. One fold is 2 sections. I'm also seeing a 1, 2. Somebody can't get past 6. Somebody is giving me 2, 4. So thank you, Mark, Sumter County, Trincia, Gemma, Amanda, Albison, Tamara. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's just go ahead and fill in some of this data that's coming in. So with one fold, we've got 2 sections. 2 folds is 4 sections. 3 folds can be a little tricky. What are you getting for 3 folds? And somebody unmute yourself.
3 folds is 8.
Is 8. Often people will predict 6, but it's not 6. Does anyone see a pattern developing?
It's doubling
Notice
up.
that. Yes, it is. It's doubling every time. So 5 folds gets us to 32. Can anybody predict what 6 folds will be? Actually, I think somebody put that one in the chat box. So I'll
64.
just give it to you, 64. And somebody do a prediction on 7.
7 is 120.
128.
Right. So we can see this doubling pattern from one stage to the next to the next. All right, and now we could take this a step farther and we could think about what the equation might be. So let's just break this down a little bit and see how else we could be looking at this data. I'm going to add to our T-chart here. So if we see that it's doubling every time, at our first stage we have 1, but then if we double that, it's 1 times 2. And if we double that, we've got 1 times 2 times 2. Double that, we get 1 times 2 times 2 times 2. Can anybody share with me? And I'm treating you like parents now. Does anybody know a shortcut way of writing out this repeated multiplication? Is there a shortcut way of writing 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. Okay, someone is saying powers. Another word for that is exponents. So if we write this out with the shortcut notation, here we have 2 to the first for this stage. I'll put it over here. Then at the stage of 2, 4, we've got 2 to the second. Here we have 2 to the third. Does anybody see a connection between this exponent and the number of folds? And could that help us find an equation? For example, if we had X folds.
Yeah, I think a couple of us have it in the chat box. We have a 2 to the power of n, where n is equal to the number of folds will equal the number of sections.
Excellent, right. So our pattern is doubling. So we have y equals 2 to the x power. Of course, this is an exponential function. So you could pull out Desmos and look at that graph and see our doubling pattern. Okay, now I'd like to hear from you what topics in this task might relate to what is being taught at various grade levels. If you think of kindergarten through 8th grade, are there any concepts within this tasks that a kindergartner could do, a middle schooler could do, a high schooler could do? Can anybody throw out some standards or just topics that are taught at various grade levels within this task? You can either put it in the chat box or unmute yourself.
What we just did with finding the equation from a pattern is going to be under patterning and algebraic reasoning. It's not quite with the powers something my 4th graders would do, but extending the pattern would be something we would do.
Okay, excellent. What else?
I feel that this, I'm Trinity Boston. I feel that looking at this, how we could use it as an input-output table. And,
Excellent.
it's,
It
shows them
functions.
patterns.
What else? And what grade level would you do that at? If you could share that.
4th grade,
Okay, what else?
As for the younger students, hands-on, they could just do the folds and count the sections. They can work on the counting a little bit after that. Before 4th grade, they could look at the fractions of the paper as they're folding. Hey, you folded it in half, but now it's in fourths.
Absolutely. What else?
With you turning it into a function and graphing it, that would be older grades than my 4th graders.
Right. It would be an 8th grade standard to look at both linear and nonlinear equations and their graphs. Sometimes the students will think that all graphs are lines. No, not all graphs are lines. There's other ones, many other types of graphs. So this shows them that. What else? Okay, certainly you've got multiplication in here. You have the idea of doubling. We have the idea of exponents. So you can see with one rich task, you can differentiate this to many grade levels. So whoever your facilitator is, and if you're choosing to work with us, we would train them to peruse the standards before they're teaching and be aware of where various standards come into the tasks so that you can share that with the families. It's something that's important to them and important to the teachers that are in the room as well. Okay. Now let me just show you the curriculum. So what this looks like in terms of the curriculum on our website, which is mapsfoundation.com. And Jade, would you put that in the chat box, please? mapsfoundation.com.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
Okay, under Coordinator's Corner, you can see the 8-week mini courses here that are available for download. So there's an 8 weeks on fractions, decimals, and percents, 8 weeks about thinking in numbers, 8 weeks on thinking in patterns, which is what this is from, geometry for parents and data for parents. And then, of course, the standalone workshops are here as well. Also, you can see cutout manipulatives that are available and a quick and easy materials list to look at for each of these resources. So whoever that you have assigned to collecting materials can do that easily. Okay, but if we go into the Thinking in Patterns, Blackline Master number 3 is the one that we're after. And while we're at it, I'll just show you, there are short videos accompanying many of the lessons, especially the fractions, decimals, and percents mini course. We have that one videoed fully. And then I am continuing to add. So this helps with your facilitator and their preparation, and then parents can also go back and review some of these. So I'll just show you the lesson here. So this one is the cut activity. They do it with paper and scissors, but I find, if you don't want to hand out paper to everyone, or scissors to everyone, the paper folding works just as well, especially if you're doing the math night virtually. We started doing some virtual math nights during COVID. And so the fewest materials that you need, that you have to have, the better. So paper folding can be a nice one for that. But you can see here that there are several patterns there. You've got the toothpicks, the linear pattern, several other ones that the facilitator would guide them through. Now it's important to note it's better to go deep than broad. So if you don't get to all of the tasks, that's fine. You want good discussion. You want a lot of sharing of strategies and really combating the math anxiety that people might have. And sometimes the discussion will go down a rabbit trail, and it is just fine to take that if people are engaged and happy and learning. Okay, so what other thoughts do you have about that task? How else would you have extended the task if you were presenting it? What other concepts would you have brought in? Again, you can unmute yourself while I'm pulling the slideshow back up here.
I think it's important to teach children how to organize the data. So by doing like the T table helps them to organize the data and look for a pattern.
Excellent. Also, you could take it the direction of plotting points. So if we just go into Desmos now, the free graphing calculator is at desmos.com. Can everybody see my Desmos screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you could plot your points 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, and so on, and show them what the pattern is looking like with plotting points. You can actually show them the equation. You can talk about discrete points versus the full graph and talk about what's impossible. It's impossible to have a negative number of folds. So there's any number of different directions that you could take with this. And so it's good for your facilitator to have thought about those things in advance, and looking at some of those videos in advance can be helpful. Not that they're going to go this direction and this level of depth every time, but it's good for them to be prepared in case it goes there. So it's sort of the idea of the knowledge at the mathematical horizon that Deborah Ball talked about. That we want to help our facilitators be prepared for. Okay, and then just for fun, let me just show you a little bit of the Mythbusters with their football size sheet of paper.
Or try to do.
So that's just a fun activity that you could share, especially if your families are getting tired or it's towards the very end and you just want to end on a fun and happy note. That's one of the things that you can do. Okay, let's go back to sharing our, let's see. Let me make sure that you all can see it. All right, is everybody able to still see and hear?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so next let's talk about, as you can see here, there's a childcare room going on with a college student assisting with the childcare. Childcare you want to have set, it's completely optional whether you do it. It's good to have a room available for parents to take a crying baby or something, and then you might want to have a couple of teachers there if parents do want their young children to be in the childcare area. You don't want parents coming in here. This is not a second place for instruction to happen. So if you are doing a childcare room, you want math activities going on that mirror what the parents are doing. But again, this is an optional thing, and in your main cafeteria is where you want parents and kids and teachers all together. I definitely would not open the childcare room up to anybody over second grade. So that's just something for you and your math night team to think about it. We've done it different ways over the years, but what I've really settled on is the families are there because they want to be there with their kids. You don't want to break them up if at all possible. So just throwing that out. Okay, here is an example of students sharing their solutions. You want parents sharing solutions, kids, teachers, sometimes a family will come up together and share their solution. So again, going deep and instead of broad is really good here. As the facilitator is presenting the task, you want the facilitator walking around and looking at various strategies that different families are using, and have chart paper up so that various families can be writing up their solutions at the same time, and then can present those. So maybe you'll have 3 different strategies that are shared from different tables. You definitely need a microphone on your facilitator and one that's floating around. You cannot trust the people to talk loud enough to share their strategies. So you'll want somebody who's just manning the microphone and putting it right in their face. And it's really fun to see parents realizing what their kids know and that their kids are willing to get up and share. Sometimes they're very surprised at what their kids can do and are willing to do. So that's one of the rewarding things about a math night, is getting to see that the parents' view of their children expanding. Okay, now let's talk about the dinner time task that we always do. And again, this is something that is unique to the Math for Adults Foundation, is that we guide parents in cognitively guided instruction. Now, we know that word, the CGI, but they don't. You don't want to use the word CGI. Just say, we're going to show you how to bring math into your own home, because this is how you will improve your students' achievement. If you're showing them how you use math in your everyday life, and then they've seen something before about a percent or about a fraction, and when they get to school, the teachers can tap into that. So in the handouts, you'll have a grid of problems like you see here. And you want to teach the families how to write problems. So I would just explain, this is something that I wrote up when my son was in first grade. The school's mascot was the Falcons. And so I made problems like, there are 108 books in the Fairview Library, 8 more get donated to the school. How many books are in the library in all? But maybe 108 and 8 are numbers that are way too big for your particular child. You can change those numbers to 10 and 5. All right. Of course, you don't have to use the word Fairview, use the name of your child's school. And then you want to change the context for your family. Let's say that you are in a basketball family. You just love to play basketball. Well, instead of making this about library books, make it about basketball. And just have the families right then and there on their handout cross out the 108 and 8 and change the numbers to what they would be helpful for their child, and cross out the word books and change it to basketball. Okay, also we want to explain to them that when you're giving your children a question, you want to vary where the unknown is. So instead of saying there's 108 books in the library, you could say, and 8 more get donated. You could say there's 108 books, some more get donated. Now there is 110 books. How many got donated? And so you just give them a very short blurb on this. And then this is something that they can be working on during the dinner time. Also during the dinner time, right before dinner time, when you're giving this task for the working dinner, is when you'll show the video, the maps video, that is a discussion with the parents on what they can do as parents that doesn't involve math at all, that impacts student achievement. Things like giving them breakfast and having family dinner time around the table, where they're talking together about whatever, but the TV's not on, the phones are put away, maybe one kid's throwing a tater tot, they spill their milk, whatever, but that is so important for student achievement. And so we're giving them tools that they can use, and there's you'll just show that video for the families, a very short little blurb, and then they start going through the line, picking up their pizza. They come back, sit down, and they're doing this working dinner with their tables of writing problems. And then one of your assistants, the one of the teachers, will be taking the microphone around from family to family. They're sharing problems that they wrote. The whole group can solve the problems that they wrote, and it's a fun time. But this piece right here might be the most powerful piece of all. As I'll show you a testimonial from a family. They started doing this at home, and it just started making such a difference for that child. So it was really exciting to see how you can just give them a taste of CGI and what difference that will make for the families. Okay, after the dinner, then is a second task, and then you finish up with door prizes and evaluations. So let me just share with you now some of the results of the research that we found. Keep in mind that the families that were attending the math nights were attending the 8-week mini courses. And this data was based on, we pared it down to the ones that attended 5 times or more. We saw an improvement on the standardized test scores. This is over a 3-year period, comparing their scores if they attended at least one mini course. And so we were looking at the long view, how does this make a difference? How does it make a difference in the long term? So in the short term, after the first year, you started seeing a difference in the control group versus the ones that had attended the mini course. Then over the second year, there was even more change, and by the third year, you saw significance. Also, we were testing the parents and the teachers. Bless their hearts, they did mathematical knowledge for teaching testing out of the University of Michigan's MKT and their project, and the assessments that they have available. You have to, at least at that time, you had to do a training to even be able to use the assessments. But I did that, and we were testing. Now the parents and the teachers as a group all improved significantly. But of course, parents tested had a lower baseline than the teachers, which is what you would expect on their pre-test compared to the post-test, but everybody was improving. So this is just evidence that this is for real professional learning for your teachers who are attending. And when you're looking for funding for your math night, whether it's finding money for having that dinner, sometimes you've got to get creative. How are you going to make this happen? Sometimes looking into your professional learning dollars is a way that you can go. Okay, then we also tested attitudes towards mathematics. This was the survey we used. The attitude towards mathematics inventory was out of Berry College. Tested the parents and the teachers, and saw significant improvement there as well. And then just some anecdotal data that I love. The school that you saw from the first slide, in that school library, that school's math standardized test scores rose from 63% passing to 81% passing in 08 to 011. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't the only thing that school was doing to improve their math scores by a long shot, but they were very invested in their math nights and making them successful and doing what it took to get the families come out. This was Title I, poorest of the poor, in a district that just had a lot of Title I schools. So it's very exciting to see that improvement and the payoff in the investment that district was putting in to having a successful 8-week mini course. And they did it, over the years. So, they kept at it. It wasn't just a one shot, try this and move on to something else. They're very invested. Okay, and then other impacts that we saw with the parents is that certainly it was improving their confidence with helping their children and talking with their children around mathematics. And this is such a huge thing with math anxiety rampant. You want parents to know that they don't have to know every answer in the math book. That's the teacher's job. It's that what they know is important, and they can share it and should share it in happy ways, whether they're in the grocery store, whether they're doing a home improvement project and painting a room and figuring out how much paint, or an auto mechanics and looking at standard wrenches versus metric. So many ways math comes up in the home, and you want to encourage them to do that regularly. Okay, we also found that some of the participants were continuing their education after the math nights. So out of Marta Seville's research, we see parents as adult learners of mathematics. And of course, Marta Seville and David Gay had done the whole curriculum development project out of the University of Arizona. And they had done quite a bit of qualitative research on the Math for Parents curriculum and the math nights before I came on the scene. And then we added to it the quantitative piece. We also added to it a different demographic than the Southwest was really working with a lot of the Latino population, and we were working in the Southeast for our research. Okay, we also saw parents enjoyed math nights because they were part of that learning community, and parent-teacher interactions were found to improve. Okay, also we saw teachers that were attending the mini course were improving their confidence and as well. And a number of them went on to pursue their MED or EDS in math education. Just a shout out to the University of Georgia that also included the math endorsement as a portion of their degree. So it was embedded within the degree to get that endorsement. So the UGA is currently one of our community partners. Also shout out to Gordon State College, who houses our math library, math materials library. So manipulatives are available for checkout. The hard copies of the Math for Parents curriculum and many other curriculums and resources are available. Southern Crescent Technical College is also a community partner. Okay, other impacts. Math for Parents curriculum and activities started to surface in grade level planning and in classrooms. So teachers were increasing the rigor at which they were teaching because they were using these strong tasks that have been research tested, of course, with the high level $1 million NSF funding. And just a quote, teacher said, "I think I learned as much from it as the parents did. I don't think I learned as much as I did until I brought it back to my classroom." So we love seeing that collaboration piece among teachers. Okay, now this is sort of the primary result of the research on the qualitative side is this idea of mathematical knowledge for parent involvement. We found this construct analogous to mathematical knowledge for teaching that Deborah Ball worked on, and we were looking at, is there something similar that parents can have, and if so, what does it look like? What is the nature of it? So in comparing that to mathematical knowledge for teaching, it was a unique blend of just this content knowledge, straight content knowledge. How do you add fractions, and this subcategory of knowledge of content and teaching, where parents were learning manipulatives that could be used. They were learning to use a manipulative in the first place instead of just pencil and paper, knowing that there's more than one way to solve a problem, and that is a good thing. And I'll just give you an example of I was presenting to the Kiwanis Club here in Griffin, and one of the members asked me, well, how, I work with students, I'm tutoring, and I have my way, but is that going to mess them up from the way that they're learning in school? And my answer was, well, if you are driving from here to Atlanta, think about how you would get to Atlanta if you're driving to Atlanta. Well, what if the interstate is closed? What are you going to do? He said, well, I'll go a different way. Well, it's the same way with math. There's multiple ways to get from point A to point B, and often parents aren't aware of that, and you want to encourage them that your child might have a different way than you. You want to listen to them, listen to their way. then share your way. Talk about which way is better. There's more than one. There's more efficient ways, of course. And as students are able, they'll latch on to the more efficient strategies, but you want to value theirs. And so listening is just a huge piece of that. Okay. Also, knowing appropriate games and skill reinforcers. We don't all have to do flashcards. There's so many computer games out there. They're going to be on computers games anyway. They might as well be doing some math review in the summer um, on those games. And I love the Math is Fun website because you can do the multiplayer games remotely. So for example, my kids would play a math game from Georgia with grandpa who's in Illinois, and they're supposedly paddling their canoe but just working on math problems together. I love it. So that was excellent. And then knowing how to support the learning process, that you don't immediately give the answer. You work within that child's zone of proximal development, just helping them kind of learn the difference between giving the answer and the child gets so frustrated they're crying. At what point do you help and how do you help? By listening, sharing your way, and if you need to reach out to the teacher, do that. So again, just sh- highlighting the importance of that relationship between the parents and the teachers. Okay, also we saw improved family interactions. Parents are reporting looking forward to math night with the family. Homework time is becoming family time, and families are playing math games and activities at home. So you're, again, really working on building that learning community at home. And the neuroplasticity research tells us how important that is, that relationship with parent and child, the parent getting to see the aha moment of the child and the child having that moment of connection with their parent around a math concept is a strong bond and connection that relates to student achievement. So if you read our research piece from Educational Studies in Mathematics, sort of towards the end, you'll see just sort of the thesis that a child who can say, my teacher likes math is great, but a child who says, my parent who likes math and thinks it's important is such a bang for your buck. So pouring into the families is just really worthwhile. It takes effort, it takes money, but it's very worthwhile for your school. Okay, next there is back to this professional learning idea and working with teachers and treating the math nights as professional learning for the teachers. We found this construct, knowledge of content of parents, that teachers can gain if you're doing the math nights well. And this is content focused teacher learning about parents' knowledge and strategies. So as parent or teachers are interacting with the parents, they're seeing what parents tend to know and strategies that they tend to use. They can see that parents want to help, but maybe they don't have the vocabulary to help. And seeing why parents are struggling to assist their kids, what common misconceptions parents are having, parent knowledge or lack thereof of common manipulatives, common parent explanations, and that we don't want to have a deficit view of parents. And I know that parent interactions can be challenging. I mean, all of us know what it's like to be on the other end of the phone and a parent is mad, they're blaming us because we messed up their kid's failing because of us. But that's not the end of the story. That pouring into these families and working on those relationships is so worth the time, because when you're on the same page with a parent, um, and the parents are helping at home, can really help that student achievement and make a difference. Okay, also we saw that this knowledge of content and parents is an aspect of Schulman's knowledge of educational contexts. So I would just throw out there, if any of you are in the process of doing research or you're working with teachers who are getting advanced degrees, this is a wide open area that needs further research. What is the nature of knowledge of content and parents? What are typical parent misconceptions? And so on. So I currently am in the process of expanding and scaling up the MAPS math nights. So I'm not doing this research myself, but if anyone is interested in having a discussion with me on forming research questions and going that next step, I would be more than happy to do that. And of course, reading some of our pieces on the website can get you started. Okay, so now let's we'll switch into talking about some of the logistics of holding a successful math night, and we'll just jump in and start doing the planning for your math nights in your district. So our typical start time is 5 or 5:30. We found that to work pretty well in terms of bedtimes, but also parents getting off of work. So here is the typical agenda that you want your setup team to be starting, about an hour in advance. Then a team meeting where your coordinator is giving last minute announcements. Typically, this is a parent engagement liaison, an academic coach, someone kind of leading the show. The team takes their place about 15 minutes in advance. You'll want to do a very, very targeted seating where someone is encouraging families to sit together, but also encouraging those teachers to get out in the audience and sitting with the families. This is the power of this whole connection between parents and teachers. You've got to get them sitting together. Teachers will tend to want to just gravitate to the sidelines, stand on the side, be on their phones. But no, you want to have someone specifically sitting teachers with families so that they're interacting as learners together. Start out with an icebreaker activity. My favorite one is just having the families take a sheet of paper, roll it up into a ball, and start tossing the ball back and forth and count by twos. So toss the ball back and forth, 2, 4, 6, 8. Count by fours, starting with 11. Count by tens, count by 250s, count by halves. That's how the investigations in number, data, and space curriculum, if I remember right. At home, of course, families can be tossing a football, pushing a swing. All of those are good ways to do the skip counting. So some of the families will start trickling in early, some will be a little bit late. So doing the icebreaker at first, just having it posted as they walk in is a great way to get things started. Then 10 minutes in, you start the content. So if it's fractions, decimals, and percents, you might be starting with the tangram puzzles. Okay, then about 45 minutes in, I've got to give you my favorite math joke. Do you know what's odd to me? Put it in the chat box if you have an idea. Do you know what's odd to me? This is my joke. Okay, nobody's responding. I'll just give it. Numbers not divisible by 2. I love that one. I got it off of the skit, guys. Okay, so joke time. This is where you're showing the parent discussion video where the dinner activity is announced. People are filing through to get their food and doing their activities. or making their word problems together, and somebody's walking around with a microphone and sharing word problems that they're making up. So they're getting practice at it right on the spot. It's a clinical experience for parents with their kids and for teachers working with parents and kids. Okay, then about 6:10, you're continuing those math activities from the Math for Parents curriculum. And of course, you don't have to use our curriculum. It's just that ours is research tested. And then about 10 minutes, even 20 minutes, you could do before the end. You are distributing your door prizes, doing the evaluation, and children are being brought back to their parents if there was a child care room. Okay, and then finally at the cleanup, everyone helps. You want to have your cleanup team is at this point announcing, we need all of the trash here. We need all the scissors here. We need all of the pencils here. We all need all the extra handouts here. And just have everybody in the whole room is doing cleanup together. And it literally takes 15 minutes. Whereas if you don't do this, then you've got some poor couple of teachers who are there for an extra hour and a half putting everything away. And we've learned through hard experience, you really don't want to be that person. So yeah, just work as a whole group, and it happens pretty quickly. Okay. So now is when we will go over some of the nuts and bolts of what are the roles that teachers in your school will play in hosting the math night, the roles that they sign up for, and how you can just make it clockwork. And of course, you don't have to do it our way. I'm just showing you over doing many math nights since 2008, and research to show that it's making a difference. Hopefully we can get you started. Okay, and then we'll finish up with at the very end, if you are ready to jump in and sign on with us to do for your math night instruction, we do have grant funding currently available for the instructional piece of your math night. And that grant funding is first come, first served. So if you email us, we can send you the memorandum of agreement. Actually, I'll share that in the chat box. Signing the memorandum of agreement is what locks in that funding. Once that funding is expended, we do have matching grant funding that for your instruction. So it would help mitigate your cost the first time around. And then, of course, additional costs would be for your dinner, unless you're working with one of your community partners. I know there was this particular school reached out to their partners in education, and the dinner was provided. You do have to make your own copies and help with the promotions if you're working with us, but the memorandum of agreement describes all of that in depth. But just as a closing to this piece of our professional learning, we had a parent say, we all as a family are graduating tonight, and they were so proud of that. So you can see a principal here with her families. This is in Wisconsin, a family, and we were doing it at the university there, and they had the mascot show up. Certificates were being given out. So just a great way of making a difference for the families, the math culture of your schools and your communities. And I feel like you're just really lifting your community by pouring into the families through math nights. Okay, so let's jump in now and talk about what are some of those roles that you want to throw out to your math night team. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and share this document in the chat box so that you can work from it. I do ask that if you are using this document, that you please make a copy of it before you start making changes to it, because this is our template. Okay, so there you go. All right, so first of all, when you are forming your team, your math night team, you want to make sure that this is something that those teachers are interested in doing. It's not that they're voluntold. If at all possible, you want to throw it out there, make a quick pitch at a faculty meeting who is interested in making this happen. Now, in the some school districts, the one that is local to Griffin, it's very typical that all of the teachers are required to be there and involved. Over in Jackson County, they had a team of 6 that worked very well together. And then, of course, all of the teachers in the building were invited, but it was that team of 6 that made it happen. So just be thinking strategically, but also, if at all possible, you want teachers that like the idea, they're bought into the idea, and they're ready to run with it. By the same token, you do not want to put all the responsibility of a math night on one teacher. They'll never do it again. It's way too much work. It needs to be a team. It absolutely needs to be a team. And that is one of the conditions of our accepting our grant funding. As you look at the memorandum of agreement, is that you do have a team, that it's not just one person doing this. Okay, so as you're throwing this out to your teachers and what they prefer to do, of course, whoever's coordinating all of this will assign the duties in the end, but it's nice to give them what they want to do. So typically your coordinator will be your parent involvement specialist or liaison, or your academic coach, your math specialist. Occasionally it might be an assistant principal who is directing the curriculum. So those are the people that, or it might be just a teacher who's very interested, a math teacher who really is gung-ho on the idea, and they can lead the charge. Whoever it is that you're choosing to be your lead, you want them to have a dynamic personality and someone who's not afraid to, just keep up on people and make sure that everybody's doing their part with a smile. So they can crack the whip a little bit, but with a smile, and make sure that everything happens. So a lot rises and falls on that coordinator. Okay, so just some other roles that teachers can sign up for is assisting the facilitator. Of course, the facilitator is someone that we hire. If you're a long distance from Griffin, you can make a recommendation from someone in your district who has that advanced preparation in math education, and we provide them a stipend in the training. Okay, the promotional piece is your biggest piece. You want numerous people on this. And again, many hands make light work. So if you've got 5 or 6 people working on your promotions, that is a great idea. So let me just talk with you about promotions, because it is such an important piece that it's fun to do once you get doing it, but it cannot be overlooked. If you overlook the promotion, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You'll do a ton of work and you end up with 15 people. I will tell you, I've learned this from bitter experience. Do not overlook promotions. Okay, so ideally, you want your promotions to start early within a month before your math night. Your back to school events are a perfect time to start your promotions. But research tells us that 7 touches is what it takes to get people to come to an event. So what does this mean? Of course, you want flyers to go out. You want an email blast to go to your families. You want it on your Facebook page. You want it on your school marquee. You want it in your school newsletter, on the school calendar, on the website. You want your administrative assistant at the front desk to have a stack of flyers, and any parents who are coming in get a flyer. So, uh, each teacher should be building it within their own classroom and communicating with parents. There was a school, let's see, it was Oakland Elementary in Henry County. Just did a magnificent job of this. They had I think it was puffballs, I think, where people could um, sign up and count how many puffballs, but they were able to promote all of the store prizes. Pizza, you could do a pizza party for the class that has the most kids who come, or one principal gave ice cream passes um, for any kids who came in the school cafeteria the next day. They could get ice cream. So those are just all ideas. But now I'm going to share with you the number one idea that has served us over and over and over. This is a surefire thing on how to get your families to come, and that is to take advantage of your car rider line. Your car rider line is just a captive audience. They're sitting there maybe an hour before school gets out. If you can assign a couple of people, whether it's parapros, teachers, volunteers, somebody who is available in that um, hour, half-hour period before school gets out, and they're going from car to car to car, giving just a quick spiel. Hey, we're having a math night coming up on Tuesday where you get to learn how to help your kids with math. Dinner's served, so you don't have to cook that night. And this is where you sign up, and you put the clipboard in front of them with a pen, have them sign their name, their email, and their phone number, and you go from car to car to car. You're collecting your registrations. Hand them a flyer. You're not asking them to register on their own time. You're registering them on the spot. That's the key. Okay. A one face-to-face push is the same as 25 flyers. I kid you not, this is the way to do it. At your car rider line, in your after school program, whoever's working on promotions, those face to face, you just have a clipboard with a sheet of lined paper. That's all it takes. This is where you can sign up, and we'll send you a reminder. Oh, I don't know if I can come. I might have to work that night. That's okay. Sign up. We'll send you a reminder. Maybe grandma can come. Absolutely, yes, grandparents can come. Anybody who's invested in the child. So that is my biggest tip that I have for you. Schools who take my tip have people who sign up. People who don't take my tip, sometimes it falls flat, and it's so hard for me to see that happen because I know what works. It's worked so many times. Okay, now there's so many other things you can do. QR codes, absolutely. Do a QR code. Let people register online, and that's something that we provide. When you sign up for a Math Night, we handle the behind the scenes online registration, sending out reminder emails to those people that are registered, and we assist with your promotions in that way. Okay, then secondly, you want a team of teachers who are handling the setup, looking at the materials that are needed, making the copies. You want to set out your copies for every other person. When families are coming in, you don't need a packet for every person. Setting them out on the tables, every other person works great. If you want to do decorations, the simplest decorations is just go to Dollar General and get um, different colored tablecloths, just the plastic tablecloths. It makes your room look fun, and it's very easy and cheap. You do want to hang plenty of signage for what door to come in, where's the restrooms. If there is childcare and they're going out to the playground, you want to have a sign on the door saying where they went in case a parent comes looking for their child, all that sort of thing. Okay, you want an engaging MC who can do the introduction, the joke time, the door prizes and evaluation. Get them started on the evaluation, and then door prizes interspersed. They can give you their evaluation and get their door prize. So that's one way of making it happen. We do paper evaluations or a Google form that I'll show you on the website. All right. You want someone in charge of handling the dinner. Sometimes this is just the principal saying, yep, we're going to pay for pizza. Or we want the cafeteria to make hot dogs. At Orrs Elementary, they did that. Many times we've just done Little Caesars pizza, and we're able to feed the whole crowd for about $3 a person with pizza and water, bottles of water. Just something very simple. You don't want to make yourself a huge job. Now, sometimes it's churches who are hosting the math nights, and they like doing a big dinner. So I've seen that before, and that's perfectly fine if you want, to do that. Sometimes a local restaurant. So again, over in Jackson County, I believe it was, had Chick-fil-A would donate one night, and Zaxby's donated the dinner one night. But that's a really important piece to have the camaraderie going among families. So if you are signing on with us, we do ask that you provide a simple meal. Okay, you need somebody who's a host, setting families and teachers together. If you are having that child care room manned by teachers, you'll need a couple of them to sign up. Parapros are great for this role. Or you can just have the room with no teachers in it at all. It's just available if a parent has a crying baby. You do want some place for them to go, because it can really distract things. If there's a child that's kicking out of the traces, you need a place for the parent to take them that has some fun math games, manipulative, something for them to do. Okay, at your registration table, this is where you're signing in everyone. They're just walking in, signing, on paper, actually signing in. And this person also needs to make sure that they're doing a head count and verifying that everyone actually did get registered, because sometimes you have a whole influx of people coming at once, and some people just slip through the cracks, honestly, and they get seated. So whoever's in charge of this needs to make sure all of that happen. And then you want to have a laptop going where you can just easily mark who actually came from who was registered. And we do send out that spreadsheet of who is registered to whoever your coordinator is. So the people that registered online, you can easily see that in a spreadsheet. And what I like to do is in the spreadsheet, if 5 people came with that family, you put a 5. If one person came, you put a 1, and then you can really quickly do a tally in your Excel or your Google sheet. Okay. All right, so the next person. So again, this is just spreading out the work. If you want to compile this, that's fine with, one person doing multiple jobs. But whoever went out and was collecting those paper registrations, or the registrations on a clipboard in the car rider line, you need them to be able to hand that off to another person, and their job is just to enter all those registrations into the website so we can send the email reminders. Okay, next you want someone who's actually doing phone reminders and text reminders. And this is different from your robocalls. Of course, you want to do a robocall as one of your 7 things. Everybody gets a robocall reminding them of the math night. Send out your mass text messages, send out your mass emails to everybody. But this is different. This is like when your dentist calls you and reminds you, hey, you've got a a dentist appointment coming up. It's a personal touch with the dentist office. Oh, thanks for the reminder. I would have forgot otherwise. So just like I called all of you last night and I left a message, or if you answered, I told you and reminded you. And also I texted all of you. It took me 1 hour. It does not take a long time. It's easy to overlook this, but it's very important to getting them to come. I've had a parent say before, well, if they wanted me to come that bad, I came. So yeah, we do want them to come that bad. You've got to drag them screaming and kicking. Okay. If you don't do your promotions, who's going to show up? It's the parents that are already invested in their kids and already doing this at home. You need to drag everybody screaming and kicking. You need to get them to come. However it needs to happen. The promotional piece is important. It needs time, it needs money, it needs whatever it takes. And then it makes a difference for your school. So this is how it happens. Okay, then on the door prizes, this is not a hard thing. Just at a faculty meeting, ask your teachers if anybody's going out to eat in the next month. Wherever you're eating out, ask them for a door prize, whether it's a gift card or like Jim and Nick's is great. They typically will give me a barbecue sauce or something. Or if you're at the grocery store, ask for a door prize. That, you know, you can collect those door prizes. Sometimes over the years, we've had one big door prize that is a drawing, or if they came to 5 out of the 8 sessions, then they could be in the drawing. So those are ideas on your door prizes. Good idea to have somebody checking the restrooms and keep an eye on things there. Then somebody who's leading the cleanup, so that, and announcing to everybody, this is where all the trash goes, this is where the manipulatives goes, and it just makes it really quick if that person is very organized before the cleanup starts. And also a tip, don't start the cleanup early, because then your group will shut down. Everybody starts shutting down when the cleanup happens. So cleanup happens when cleanup happens. All right, so there we go with the roles. I want you to start thinking about who in your school would be good to do those different things. Now I'm going to take you into our website and show you many of the forms and resources that are already created, so you don't have to remake a flyer. You don't have to make your own flyer. Just use ours. And this is all free online. So whether you are contracting with us or not, it's a one-stop shop. We are nonprofit. We want to improve math achievement, broad scale. We want to increase math nights and improve mathematical knowledge for parent involvement. So take it, steal it, use it. We are happy if you are using it, even if you're not contracting with us. So of course, we think you'll have a stronger program if you do. With Jackson County, they worked with us for a year, and then they were off and running on their own. But here it is. So flyer that you can use, in a simple registration form. We use it over and over. It's a Google document. Of course, make a copy of it before you make any changes to it with your particular information. I've found over the years, you don't need to collect a lot of information. What you need from people is their name, their email, and the phone number. So you can do those reminders. Sign-in forms for the participants. We've tried to make this Title I friendly, so that when you're having to do your reporting and documentation, it has what's needed. So of course, work with your federal programs people, or whoever it needs the documentation to have on your sign-in form exactly what you need. Also on the sign-in form, there's a disclaimer, so that you know, it's just a tiny little waiver, so it gives protection for you, for us, all of that. You want your math night team to sign in. And another reason you want all these people's information is so that from one math night to the next, you promote the next. At one math night, you're promoting the next math night and the next one and next one. It just builds. Okay, you can just download the spreadsheet here. Your setup list and the cleanup list is for your coordinator to fill out what's needed that particular math night, and then you can hang it up. And any teachers who are coming to help with setup, they don't all have to ask you, what should I do? It's you have it hanging there. This is the list. That's what needs to be done. The recruitment planning form goes through the list of ideas that I told you verbally. But this is just gets your promotional team started with who's going to do the school calendar, who's doing the newsletter, who's putting it on the school Facebook page, who is doing the car rider line. And so that's invaluable. That recruitment planning form, definitely take it and use it. Supply lists. Here's the evaluation form, which I also have right here. So if you're doing a math night with us, when you get to the evaluation time, you can just ask parents to open their phones, go to mapsfoundation.com and fill out the evaluation. Also, you want paper ones though, because some parents won't have that capability. You definitely want to shout out to your sponsors, and on the flyer that you're putting together, that will strengthen your program, and your sponsors will appreciate that if they're providing the meal or providing door prizes. So like when I go to Jim and Nick's, for example, and say, would you provide us with a door prize? Then you can give them the flyer, sign it. That's documentation they might need that they sponsored you or helped provide a door prize, and then you agree to put them on your flyer as promotions for them. Okay, here's a document with mini flyers if you want to use them as at Easter time at egg stuffers, or you just want to do your flyers on the cheap and you don't want to make up you don't want to make 500 flyers. It's too many copies. You just make them small, make 4 to a page, or here, these are many. I think it's 16 to a page. So a checklist for your coordinator to look over, materials list, all of that. Okay, and then of course here, this is the fractions, decimals, and percents mini course with the videos that are available for parents and teachers. Also manipulatives that can be printed out, the facilitator notes, all of it. Just here, one-stop shop to help you be successful with your math nights. Okay, so I am going to close now with just showing you on our homepage testimonial from a parent, and then I'll answer questions and we will finish up. Oh, sorry. There we go.
Children bring home math work and ask for help, but you don't know how to? Well, problem solved. Welcome to MAPS. MAPS is Math and Parent Partnership Sessions. These sessions will teach you fun, effective, and hands-on strategies to help your student. Be sure to bring your student with you so they can get engaged also.
Welcome to session 1 of Fractions, Decimals, and Percents mini course. As you can tell from the title, this course is about fractions, but it's designed to expand your understanding of mathematics, experience mathematical activities that you can do with your children, and to have fun.
But that's what we did. So then we'll assign value to each of those.
We both were very impressed with the it opened up a door to give us a new process to formulate mathematical equations. I mean, we instantly learned with relative ease how to take everyday problems and situations and formulate it into an equation in our mind, and then bring that to the kids and to each other. it's a completely different, a completely different approach to mathematics that isn't scary anymore, which when we didn't understand it, it was frustrating, but it's really, I don't know how to, it's just very cutting edge, very modern. Very
Well, the kids even get more excited, even, on the days of coming to, like Thursday was the class, and the kids are always wondering what day's Thursday, when are we going? And they were excited to go, and yeah, and we try to implement it because it got our brains more into the math aspect, where we try to challenge the kids in everyday, things like miles on trips, or like I've been doing some cooking with Elizabeth with fractions and cups and stuff, so we try to implement it that way. Okay.
I was learning like a bunch of new addition problems, and I was learning fractions and subtraction and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And was that exciting? I mean, was it helping you learn it in a way that you hadn't?
And it was also a very fun math class for me to be in.
It's great.
Her struggles in math in second grade and the first part of third grade have virtually disappeared after the program. Number one, we're connecting so much better on helping her understand how to do them. And then number two, she's just picked it up on her own.
About it, the teachers were great. They had college kids in helping, which helps them in their studies. So it was great.
We also learned as parents, as individuals, how it's okay to come up with different ways to the answer. That was a huge piece for us, because we're noticing how, with her, she'll come to the answer and perhaps a process that wouldn't be my first suggestion, or vice versa with him. But he and I learned how tremendously different our minds work and how we think, and we will come up with an equation that we still have the same answer. So I struggled in math all my life, and it's so exciting to see that I don't think she's going to, and that's a pretty powerful thing, and we have those foundation, those building blocks for our son too. That was a really. She was going from her scores would be like in the 50s, and now she's high 80s. Yeah, that's
Good job.
average.
That's great. You proud of yourself? Yeah.
And it's not such a struggle with homework too, to get her to
night and day. I would just like to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for offering it, and for the time and the resources that were pulled together to give families like us at a very affordable, positive, the opportunity to experience and to be a part of helping us help our children.
Okay, so I'd like to just thank everyone for attending, and I'll be sticking around to answer questions and to help you with the plan that you are putting together. I also am going to put the link to the memorandum of agreement in the chat box, so that if you would like to take advantage of the grant funding for the instruction that is currently available, you can do that. And if you'll just be doing your math nights on your own plan, I'll be happy to discuss that with you and give you ideas. So I'll throw it out there now. Who has questions for me that I can address? And there's the memorandum of agreement. that I just posted. So again, it's first come, first serve on that. Once it's signed, you lock in your funding until the funding is expended. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your comments and your participation. I will be posting this professional learning on our website under the Coordinator's Corner tab. And I just invite you to make a difference for your schools, your families, and your communities. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. I have one quick question. Is there a number that you could be reached at?
Sure, I'll put my cell into the chat box here.
Okay, thank
And
you.
also I texted you a reminder. So if you received that, you'll have my number in your phone already.
Okay,
And I'll give you my email here as well,
thank you.
and the website.
Hi, Miss Andrea.
Hey.
Can you show us where is that A-mini lesson mini course?
Yes. So I'll take you back into the website.
Sorry.
You'll go into mapsfoundation.com. And you'll be looking under Coordinator's Corner.
Your screen is the PowerPoint.
Okay. Here we go.
I don't see anything on the screen right now.
Okay, do you see the website now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so under Coordinator's Corner, these are the 8-week mini courses right here, the top 5 mini courses. And then below that is the standalone workshops.
Okay.
Focused on kindergarten to 4th grade and 5th to 8th grade.
Okay.
Okay, the fractions, decimals, and percents is the one I would start with.
Uh-huh.
It's the one that we have fully videoed and the most resources for. And of course, I'm continuing to add video. Oh, I forgot to show you, we do have a YouTube channel with many videos of like 5-minute videos of math concepts that your parents can resource. Also, we have a Facebook page, and we have a MAPS participants group. So participants who would like to join that group can continue the learning community and can ask me questions. So I'm available to answer questions to families.
Reaction. They got one.
I think somebody needs to mute yourself.
They ain't gonna let it just fall out.
I'm not sure who it is.
Yeah, I had my original school.
Okay, any other questions? Of course, here is the research menu item if you'd like to see our research pieces, our papers, also math resources, lesson plans, resources for parents and teachers. The registration page, I'll just show you that. Once you sign the memorandum of agreement and choose a date, then we post your school here and you have online registration available to you. And then we send you that information in a spreadsheet.
This is a very good, Miss Andrea. I would like to share with my service teachers in our program. So I think if you post this video, I'll probably refer them to watch this for math night and parental involvement with math.
Okay. And I'll be putting this under the coordinator's corner
Okay.
tab, probably right above the math night training or right below it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'd just like to thank everyone for being here. I wish you the best on your math nights and your math night series. I'm here as a resource for you, so don't hesitate to reach out with questions that you might have. And of course, if you would like to take advantage of that grant funding that provides both an hour of professional learning for your math night team and instruction for your math night. Just sign the memorandum of agreement, email that to me, and we'll be off and running. Okay, so that is, let me check the chat box. This concludes our professional learning. I will stay here for a little bit yet in case any of you would like to ask additional questions. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.